Hey there, sheepdoggers, and welcome to another Blood Bowl 2 tips and tricks video. It's been a long time since I've done one of these because I haven't needed to do one of these. However, someone raised a pertinent point in the comment section of one of my Blood Bowl videos where they were like, "Sheepdog, dude." I think they were just. I think they actually just said like, "Could you make another humans tip video because your other one's not good compared to the rest?" And I'm like, yeah, you know what, that is true. To be fair to the humans, like, they're the most standard. You know, they're the middle ground out of all of the teams. And I think I just found it a little bit difficult to do them, honestly. So with that in mind, I'm gonna attempt another human tip and trick type video thing. You know, like, I don't particularly think that it will appeal to many people because no one really plays humans. Like, I occasionally see a human player, and they tend to be really, really good. But yeah. Okay, so anyway, first up, I would advise nearly all the time 3 rerolls and an apothecary. It's fairly standard for teams like the humans and... Whoops. Sorry, I just gave them random names. So, with that in mind, what do you buy? Well, let's have a look. Okay, so an ogre is a possibility. Now, please. The reason the ogre is a possibility because he's got bonehead, which means it's always a 2+ to do any action. So on a roll of 1, they can't do anything, which makes the ogre one of the more useful big guys. Like, with the orc trolls, they have the problem of, you know, like, if there's no teammate standing next to them when they make an action, it's a 4+, which is a 50-50. Which means that you have to expend a teammate, you know, always standing a teammate next to them to keep them moving, to keep them doing things. And you don't want to, in Blood Bowl, you don't want to rely on a 50-50 chance, which is why a troll can be a real pain in the arse. Giggity giggity. The other thing is, like with Minotaurs, if they're not performing a block action, whether it's a blitz or just a regular standing next to some dude smacking him down, if they don't perform a block action, it's a 50-50. Whether they go wild animal or not. You know, with the tree, he can take root and be useless for the rest of the, you know, until someone scores a touchdown or it's the end of the half. You know, all of these big guys have different problems. You know, that's why, really, the 2 most valid big guys are the Kroxagar and the Ogre, because they're not as unreliable. And it's one of the human team's strengths, actually, is having a useful big guy. You know, that said, you can still roll 1s turn after turn after turn. I've seen it happen. It's happened to me, you know, like, where your ogre literally does nothing the entire match because you keep rolling a bloody 1 on his bonehead. However, it's more reliable, so it's less of a gamble taking a ogre straight away. Of course, you still don't start with block or anything like that. And you do have loner, which means you've got a 50-50 chance on rerolls, which isn't good. So it means you want to be using him last a lot if you can. Of course, don't forget, guys, I quite often don't adhere to my rules. You know, when I'm actually playing a game, I'll forget or I'll get distracted. You know, especially when I'm streaming or something else, you know, I'll be chatting to people. Even when I'm doing a video by myself and I'm talking while I'm doing a video, you know, I'll get distracted, and that's how the misplays happen. That, and I'm, you know, just stupid. So you start with Mighty Blow. Thick Skull's useful, basically stunned instead of KO'd. It's nice to keep your player on the pitch. Throw Teammate is unimportant, really, because they need the right stuff, which is a skill that no human has. But regardless, Ogre's quite good. Now you have the Blitzers with block. You can see their stats there, very standard. Although armor value 8, always nice. You got the Thrower, bit less move, but obviously he's got pass and sure hands. Very useful, makes a passing game a very valid option. You got a Catcher, dodge and catch. No agility 4 though, which is, I'd say, probably one of the weaknesses of the human team is that they have strength 2 on their catches, but they have agility 3, which means that, you know, making a dodge is still possible, but that you can't pull off the same moves you'd expect from an elf. And then you've got the standard linemen. For some reason, they're always old, the humans. I don't know why. And then you've got the standard linemen. They don't really do much. So possible lineups with the 3 rerolls and the apothecary. Let's have a look. I'd say... Oh, we've already recruited an ogre? Well, that's my bad. I'd say probably... like this would be... Yeah, there you go. There's an option. So 1 ogre, 3 blitzers, 1 thrower, 1 catcher, 5 linemen. Now, what's appealing about this is that you can have in your setup on the pitch, you can have a blitzer on either side and 1 back. So you can have your scrimmage line of linemen, and then you can have one blitzer on the left, 1 blitzer on the right, and then 1 blitzer in the center. And it's really useful to kind of cover all sides with a block. Defensively and offensively, that can be really good. So this is a decent choice. Of course, what you can also do is you can go one ogre, 2 blitzers, 1 thrower, 2 catchers, and then this. Which it means you have more catch on both sides. It'll give you a fairly strong offense in the sense of a throwing game. However, it's, you know, and also they've got great movement, which is always good. You know, if you can get an agility on the catcher, also amazing. But you know, it just gives you options, really. And one of the things I will say is, like, yeah, they do have good movement, and they got armor value 8. Everyone's armor value 8, you know, so they're more survivable than the Skaven, of course. And you can also run a decent running game as well with these guys. I'd say if you're looking for a passing game, this isn't a bad choice, or a running game. If you're looking for a more blocking, kind of, I wouldn't say strength-based, but I'd say you probably want as many blitz as you can get. So, with that in mind, possibly, I'm not 100% sure that this will work. No, it won't quite add up. So, if you're wanting to go for a more blocking style team, then you probably want to forego the ogre in this case. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. You know, I know what you're kind of getting at here. Is like, you know, why would I forego an ogre? That makes no sense. You know, if I want to be blocking, if you want to go for strength, then you play the ogre. If you want to go for blocking, you know, if you want to be winning the combats all the time, the ogre doesn't have block. Like, yeah, he does have strength 5, but he's also got bonehead. He's not 100% reliable. Whereas the blitzers, they have block. So that's 4 blocks you can do a turn, where the result of both down comes out with you in a decent position. You know, like you've got that block. So, you know, when you're playing against Chaos teams, you know, going up against their beastmen, if you're both fresh teams, you have a good start there. So there's that, and yeah, I'd say you know, leave it fairly open. Now, those are just a few examples. You know, the best thing you can do is take what you want and kind of run with it. Now, because you've got armor value 8, I was going to say agility 8 there. Because you've got armor value 8, I feel like it's probably in your best interest to keep a... Yeah, we'll cancel that. It's in your best interest to keep an apothecary at all times. The rerolls also get more expensive. So I'd say 3 rerolls, considering you do have sure hands, you have catch, you have dodge, you've got some block, but honestly, per half, 3 rerolls is almost the minimum recommended, I'd say. If you really want an ogre and 3 or 4 blitzers, then possibly take... Okay, I'd say if you're willing to take the risk, take that apothecary off. Sorry, there we go. Okay, if you're willing to take the risk, take that apothecary off. Buggery bollocks. And then you can probably... Yeah, you can actually get an entire team. And then you hope for 30,000 gold. Or, yeah, 30,000 gold pieces in your first match, so you can pick up that apothecary as soon as later, and just hope that you're not against a ridiculously high level, high team value Chaos team who's just going to rip through you. But, you know, it's a risk, but it may pay off, you know? The other thing you may want to consider is just going for 12 people. I wouldn't really advise it, you know, in the sense that it's a fairly difficult one to do. You'll be foregoing the more expensive players who you want to be starting to skill up as you go. Now, I do have a human team here somewhere. Barely twitching. There we go. So this is my human team. Interestingly enough, I searched through nearly all of my other teams. And I haven't played any human teams. I can't find a human team match. So, let's pick one fairly early on. I mean, I could pick this one, where I beat a Lizardman team. Oh, that's a concede. You can see the teams I played. I played a Lizardman team, an elf team. Oh, I did beat that elf team. I could show you that, but I feel like probably the dodgy team, the elf teams, the Skaven teams aren't the ones you guys want to see me play against. Reptile dysfunctional, reptile dysfunctional. I did play against the Skaven team here, and I won. And then there's a Lizardman team. I feel like this is probably, like, you can... Yeah, okay, well... I can probably show you guys this one, I think, to talk about strategy. Like, because Lizardmen are very specific, but they are still strength, and they are still running. The only thing that this match won't deal with is elf teams, which, you know, is difficult for everyone. But the thing about playing against a strength team is you can very often be like, what do I do here? You know, like how do I beat a strength team when they've you know, sidelined half of my players? And the answer is you do nothing, which is just, you know, it's so hard to do, to just sit there feeling like a bit of a numpty while they kind of like slowly work their way up your pitch, and you're just like dodging out the way, occasionally failing a dodge, feeling like a bit of a fool, you know, all these things. So, yeah, you know, against an elf team, the answer's fairly simple. You try and get some injuries, you try and get numerical superiority, and you just try and get more touchdowns than them. You know, against a strength team, you tend to be like, well, fuck. Okay, so you can see the team here. You see I've got a tackle there, block tackle, block, block guard, and block. On the lineman, I've got a +4 strength, which is really useful, especially against a team like this. Then I've got block, dodge, catch on my catcher, and on my thrower, I haven't leveled him up yet. Let's just go forward to, there we go. So I made the kick, it went to this guy here. Unfortunate first roll for Reptile Dysfunctional, obviously. Poor Levy. And this is one of the things I find is, in all of my games on most of my teams, whether it be on my Twitch teams or my YouTube teams, and I honestly think it's part of the reason why I haven't been playing much Blood Bowl, is all I get, you know, like I'll play a human team, I'll play a Bretonian team, a Dark Elf team. All I get is orcs, dwarves, chaos, lizardmen. And the very few occasions I do play against an elf team or a human team, they are pros. Like, not when I say pro, I don't mean like professional, paid for to, you know, etc. I mean they've been playing Blood Bowl for years non-stop. They love Blood Bowl, and they love the team they play, so they just, you know, they're really good at it. Which means, you know, a lot of the time, I get a nice, I get a nice match finally, you know, kind of match up, and then I just get screwed over anyway because it's, yeah. Anyway, so with humans, I mean, you know, the thing about them, and this is why it's difficult to do these, the I wouldn't say tip videos. Yeah, okay, like, you know, kind of coaching videos. The reason why it's so difficult to do these, okay? The reason why it's so difficult to do these coaching videos for like the humans, especially, is they are pretty much just the standard, really. So, you know, they're all 3 strength except for the catcher, who's 2 strength. They're 7 movement, 6 movement. They're 3 agility, 8 armor value. You know, it's, yeah, that's just how it is, really. There's honestly not that much more to say about them. In regards to that, at least, you know, the best thing to do with the humans is to play them in a very fluid, flexible style. You know, if you go up against a Lizardman team, you need to be able to avoid combat with the Sauruses if you're able, but at the same time you need to be going after the Skinks to injure them. You know, you need to be able to switch from offense to defense. You need to be able to be willing to make dodges when you can, but at the same time, yeah, there you go. You need to be able to make dodges when you can, but at the same time, you know, be able to stand up for yourself in a fight. You know, all these things are important. So, yeah, in essence, you know, for the humans, if you're playing against a Skaven team, you probably want to get, especially if you have an ogre, you know, and also you need to slightly mold your starting team around what you're wanting to be doing. So, you know, if you pick up an ogre, you're going to be fighting a bit more than if you don't have an ogre but you have more blitzers. You know, with that kind of team, with 4 blitzers and the rest, you're probably going to be fielding a more defensive team. Unfortunate. I think he's got a couple of going for it, but he isn't taking them. So yeah, you know, with the human teams, it's also like, as I have said before, I don't tend to play the human team. So there is that, like, you know, that's one thing to consider when watching these. You know, like, the best thing to do, kind of as always, is to take what I say and just have a little bit of kind of self-testing. You know, so like take what I say under advisement, I guess, and the rest of it is basically do what you feel works for you. So, you know, like, take the idea of being fluid, but if it suits you a bit more to be bashy, if it suits you a bit more to get in on those fights and that kind of thing, then do that. You know, don't feel like, you know, you have to use a playstyle you're not comfortable with the humans. You know, figure out what works for you. So if if you like to have a good old fight, then take an ogre, take blitzers, you know, spec them so that they're going to be able to injure and to beat people down. But at the same time, you know, like, always be willing, if you see a passing opportunity, always be willing to take that pass if you can. And I think that's the essence of the humans especially. You know, orcs also to a lesser extent, because orcs tend to be a little more bashy, a little more armoured, so they can tend to stick to the pitch a bit better. As you can see here, like, you know, we've had someone knocked out already, quite a few people stunned. You know, my presence on the pitch is lessened by constant fighting, constant blocks and fighting. That was a fairly lucky one, I'm just going to say that. But, you know, again, like, when you see an opportunity, you go for it. Now, if you were to ask me what I would have done there, and how it would have failed, I probably would have picked up the ball and then possibly passed it to the other guy. Although I feel like maybe his option was the best option of not worrying about the pass, because he was in a tackle zone. So, you know, maybe that was the best option. He did roll going for it success, a dodge success, pick up success, and dodge success. So that's 4 successes. But it was 2 plus 4 plus 2 plus 2 plus. So, you know, I'm sure I could have managed to double one in there somewhere. He did have a reroll, which makes it, of course, a safer option, as it were. Okay. Let's skip through this, shall we? Sorry, there we go. Okay, so that was my first turn? No, why? Oh, he must have got knocked out by a rock or something. Okay. Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, you know, you can see my tactic. Oh yeah, I was about to say why did I reroll there, but I don't have block. You can see my tactic here, you know, it's fairly standard sheepdog tactic. I feel this is why people on my Twitch stream, you know, when we play against each other, I feel like this is why they beat me a lot. Is because people know sheepdog tactics now, basically. And also because I make misplays and I'm kind of shit. But also, like, you know, you guys have seen so many of my videos. My tactics are fairly... And, you know, the fact that I've done tip videos on all of the things, you know, you can watch my videos and see exactly how I think and how I play, and you know, and everything like that. So I feel a little bit like I've stunted myself a bit by basically showing everyone exactly how to beat sheepdog, which is of course lovely. But yeah, you know, it can often... Oh, well, there goes Tipsy. And now we got another guy in the KO box, unfortunately. Oh. And another person stunned. This ogre, Alpha Fenrir, has a tendency to get stunned and knocked out, and just generally... I think at the moment he's injured, even. This was just a tea. I started up a stream. I was like, what do you guys want to see me play? And everyone was like, humans. And I was like, oh, this is going to go terribly. And mostly it went terribly. I played, I think out of the 6 games I've played, like 3 of them were lizard men, an elf or 2, and maybe a chaos. It's fairly standard. So yeah, you know, like, obviously you can't gear, like, unless you're playing in a private league. Oh, there's that double failure. Obviously, if you're playing in a private league or something, and you've got a clear enemy, you know, like, if you've got a lizard man team who's really dangerous, obviously you can kind of, you know, spec your team to be able to deal with them. You know, taking mighty blow, taking tackle, so you can deal with the skinks is obviously a sound tactic, and one you should consider taking, like when you're leveling up. However, if you're playing in the public league, if you're playing in a big league, type thing, then obviously, you know, you can't just go, well, I'm going to be playing a Lizardman team, so I should probably prepare. No, you know, you want to take what's useful for you. So, you know, with your blitzers, good things to take are tackle, guard, you know, I'd say probably as a human team in the Blood Bowl 2, I don't want to say in the Blood Bowl 2 universe, but let's just say it, in the Blood Bowl 2 universe as we are in now, the skills to be taking are very much guard. Because, let's face it, you're going to be fighting bashy strength teams a lot more than the other teams. You know, like, if you go and look at the leaderboards, all of the leaderboards are do tend to be, like, Dark Elves, High Elves... Well, High Elves a bit less, they're not a great team. Skaven, you know, like the high-scoring teams, because they score a lot of touchdowns. You know, they're able to avoid getting beat down. You know, you won't see many high-end dwarf teams. You won't see very many high-end Lizardman teams because they're hard to play with. And this is the thing: is that a lot of players who haven't played as much Blood Bowl, they prefer playing bashy because it's more fun, basically. You know, at the end of the day, and you know, that's something that you start realizing as time goes on. You know, you start to realize, like, oh, okay, like the Skaven and the Dark Elves and the High Elves to a certain extent, the Wood Elves, you know, they're great teams because they level up quicker because they get more touchdowns. However, the teams you're going to be facing quite often are bashy teams, and if you can't deal with a bashy team with your team, you know, quite often humans can have trouble with them because they're not as dodgy, they're not as able as some other teams. You end up with a situation where you're a little bit screwed. So taking guard, especially on the linemen and the blitzers, is a great choice because it gives you back that advantage of dice rolls. And, you know, being able to get 2 dice against a line of Sauruses or anything like that is always a good thing. And there you see use of tackle again. So as you can see, it's not even the end of the first half and it's already 2-0 against me. Now, if I want to make a comeback here, I'm going to want a touchdown. However, it's going to be close. So you kind of maximize the number of targets you have, basically. So if I need, hopefully I'll be able to send a throw to any of these guys, or I can run it in myself. You know, taking down people who are a bit of a threat, obviously also a good thing. Got that guy with guard, you know, gave me 2 dice. I'd say, like, when thinking about your lineman, always think about utility over... You know, so if you get the chance to get +1 strength, obviously that's a good idea. If you get a chance to get +1 armor, like on your first roll, you know, like, there's many other things that can be more useful, really. You know, maybe +1 armor could be useful, you know, for taking hits in the line of scrimmage. You know, trying to make sure that your guy doesn't go down. But then again, at the end of the day, you may as well take block. And that increases the likelihood of a turnover if your opponent doesn't have block. You know, a lot of big guys can only take strength unless they roll doubles, which means a lot of big guys won't have block unless they get lucky and roll a double. So yeah, basically what we need here is a touchdown, And to be honest, like, all we need to do is blitz to there, push him away if it doesn't work. Which it... Oh, he's got tackle, so it did work. And that's an injury. So that's kind of almost a double play. You know, getting an injury with him is obviously good, you know, because it starts to level him up. We get a touchdown just before the end of the first half, which means we're going into the second half with just one touchdown down. So we need to get one touchdown to get an equalizer and another one to win, which is a lot less pressure than being 2-0 down. Because, yeah, like, you know, there were 3 touchdowns in the first half. However, that was like a clutch last-minute touchdown. And we don't want to be relying on that. What we want to do is we want to come back out here, get a touchdown, maybe injure some more skinks, reduce their ability to get touchdowns themselves, and equalize, and then work towards the win. It said Donatello and Trinity. Oh, there. So yeah, I got a bit more lucky than him this time. He got KO'd, which is great for that right side. It basically means we push this right side and try and get a quicker touchdown, so that we can go for the win. So one tactic you'll see me using very often. I don't know if I use it here, but this is just a generalized tactic, like a little other extra. Is I will, when something like this happens, and you know, for example, the right side opens like it did, I will have a screen on this side. I'll pull the ball back a little bit, just kind of out of range of these guys. You know, pretty much out of range, not completely, obviously, you can see that. And I'll kind of make a screen, almost like a diagonal screen going up like this, where they have to push through, and then I'll push for the side, you know, and try and get a touchdown. It's a very Skaven tactics. You can like, even when I play like Kaioqs and teams like that, you can see the Skaven tactics in it. I love Skaven, and they're my team. They're one of my teams, and I'd say probably they're my main team, But yeah, you could see the Skaven tactics in most of my games, to be honest. But yeah, so, you know, let's, before we start really getting to the end of the video, let's kind of go over the, you know, what to do. Reroll there is possibly not advisable. This guy here is free. He could kind of come around and push him out of the way. I'd say, interestingly enough, he's actually at a disadvantage here now, number-wise. And we have a decent opportunity for a throw here. We got a blitz here, obviously, which is useful. And this guy's got tackles, so, you know, all the more reason to knock him down. And obviously we're going to be taking this, looks at least like we're going to be taking this throw. Although I should have probably moved this guy around to here to block off this dude. And the reason why I'm doing the going for it is because I have a reroll. And getting closer gives me a better passing chance. So it's 3+ instead of 4+. And there's the touchdown, which brings us back to 2-2. Now, you could argue that I should hold off because there's a chance of his Saurus waking up. However, very stupidly, I tend to play for the win as opposed to play smart. You know, so if there's an opportunity for me to get a touchdown and then go for another touchdown to get a win instead of a draw, I'll probably take it. And there you see his Saurus is up. We've got a bit less of an advantage now. So yeah, how to skill your guys. Let's do how to skill your guys. So I've talked about the blitzers. Taking guard is a good idea. Taking tackle is a decent. Having at least one person with tackle is a decent idea, because when you play against lizard men or elves, after a while they'll have dodge. You know, they'll just have dodge. It's worth them having dodge. And obviously, you know, you've got like you've got random people like catchers who quite often have dodge, and players like that. And when the Dark Elves start having a lot of block dodge and things like that, you know, it can get difficult to play against them if you don't have a few players with tackle. For your linemen, block is always the first choice unless presented with, for example, strength 4. You know, +1 strength is obviously something you should be taking. But block, you know, it's block's just the if in doubt, take block basically. For your ogre, obviously, you know, guard's an option. You can see here break tackle also. If I'd have rolled a double, I'd have taken block. Seeing as you're more often offensive than defensive, although obviously there we were defensive. And again, you see Alpha Fenrir on the ground, stunned. Are you stunned? I'm not. So, you know, taking block on the ogre is a good choice. Getting block dodge is probably unlikely, but, you know, you never know. And also, there are probably other things you'd prefer to take as opposed to... Well, possibly other things you'd prefer to take as opposed to dodge. But with break tackle and dodge, I'm not sure entirely how it works. Yeah, okay, so player uses his strength instead of agility when he fails a dodge. So you fail the dodge, and then you use your strength instead, so that wouldn't count as a you know, your dodge reroll would be on the failed agility dodge. That's a lucky one. Taking Mighty Blow, again, is a decent choice on blitzers, you know, if you feel like it's a good one. Taking Block Dodge, if you want to go a bit more passing, a bit more kind of running and just not as fighty, taking Dodge is a great choice if you get a double on blitzers. On your catchers, obviously Block is the #1 choice you should be going for. After that, it becomes a bit more dependent, you know, do you want to take Sidestep? Do you want to take... It's been a while since I played Blood Bowl, so I'm trying to think of all the different skills that can be useful. I mean, Sidestep's a decent choice for catchers. For your thrower, I mean, you know, anything helping your passing is good. However, of course, block and dodge also, if you're going to be making him a ball carrier, you know, if you want to play a slightly more running game than a passing game... And, you know, there are times, even if you are a passing team, when you're going to want to switch your tactics. For example, if you're playing against a high elf team, you may want to switch your tactics away from... There's another nice injury there. You can see I'm still trying to take out his skinks, which is kind of playing against Lizardmen 101. So yeah, you know, like, if you're playing against a high elf team, you're probably going to be wanting to go for you know, more of a passing game. And you see here, like, you know, this isn't human tactics, this is just anti-lizardmen tactics, but it's worth saying, you can see here he's got 1 skink left. So he's basically got 1 possible ball carrier. If you look at the Saurus's agility 1, it's unlikely they're going to pick up the ball. You know, same with the Crocscar. And this is our opportunity for the win. You know, he's got a dodge there, he's got a dodge there. The only person who can probably make it there and dodge is that guy, so... And Alpha Fenrir finally decided that enough was enough. You know, he'd done enough falling over, enough getting stunned. It was time to properly get injured and also miss the next game. I have a theory that he's actually just really lazy, but there you go. So yeah, you know, like, this is pretty much the end of the game, honestly. Like, you guys know that the end score was 3-2 to me, so Let's do final thoughts and probably go to the last turn just so you can see the end. Human teams are the basis for human teams, as also is orcs teams to a certain extent. The basic idea behind them is be flexible, always be willing to change up your tactics. And it's gonna be a rough time when you start up, because the elves are more agility based than you, quite often better at passing, better at dodging, better at running. The Skaven have a much better running game than you, and they're almost as bashy as you. You know, same with the elves. The strength teams have more strength than you. They can do more block. They can, you know, they have more strength. They can sustain a fight better. You know, Chaos, Orcs, even with your big guy, they tend to outnumber you in terms of pure strength. Which means you're always going to be playing a losing battle if you try and fight against the other team's strength. So, for example, if I'd have gone into this and just tried to out-damage the team, I'd have been in massive trouble. You know, if I was just trying to fight, you know, with a certain amount of luck or bad luck, as it were, you know, taking injuries and stuff, then I would have quickly found myself outnumbered on the pitch. You know, and with 9 armor value, it's going to be hard for me to get through the Saurus's armor and get any injuries at all. You know, I was lucky enough to get the KO, I feel. So, you know, like, you don't play against a team's strengths. You know, this is the thing about humans, which people tend to overlook, is humans are so versatile that you play against a team's weakness. And it's something that elves can't do. It's something that Sauruses can't do. You know, it's something that Chaos can do, as long as you kind of spec your team the right way. But most teams can't do it. What the human team can do that a lot of others can't is they can play all of the different sides. They can play the agility side, they can play the passing, they can play the bashing. You know, they have a team that is able to do all of these things, and so they can play against the team's weakness. Whereas you won't see a Saurus team, you won't see a Lizardman team playing a passing game. You know, you just won't see that. You won't see a dwarf team playing a running game. You won't see them playing a passing game. You won't see them playing an agility game. All they can do is cage up and work their way down the pitch. And they work their way down the pitch slowly, no less. So, you know, this is one of the things that becomes very apparent about human teams as you play them. The best way to play them is when you see your opponent, you know, you see you're playing against a dwarf team, you don't engage them as much, you try and split them up, you know, kind of spread them out. The dwarf team plays a center, a very like close-knit centric play style. So if you spread them out, they can't go and help each other as much, and you can make a hole and just run for it. You know, like, as a human team, unless you get lucky, you won't do that well playing against... That's a little bit unfortunate. Does he drop it? No, he picks it up, it's fine. As a human team, you won't get very far playing against a dwarf team if you focus on the bashing. You know, if you try and fight them. You know, how you'll get good results, how you'll get a win and, you know, that kind of thing, is by splitting them up, by making sure that they miss next game. Oh, that's a shame. By splitting them up, by making sure that they can't, you know, like, that they're on opposite sides of the pitch, and there's all these, you know, putting things in their way so they can't, you know, so if they want the ball they have to dodge, and, you know, everything like that. And yeah, you know, if you're playing against an elf team, get stuck in there. Use your blitzers, you know. Like, if you see an opportunity to pass, then yeah, sure, pass. If you see an opportunity to dodge and run, yeah, sure, dodge and run. Do whatever is best in the situation. However, don't force yourself to play an agility dodgy game against a bunch of elves who are better than you. You may as well, you know, play against their weakness, which is the fact that they can't fight as well. You know, the fact that they've got lower armor. And like that's the best tip I can give for a human team, really, is that, you know, play against the enemy team's weakness. And that's one of the things that makes the humans interesting, you know. And one of the things that makes humans actually, I feel, fairly hard to play, you know, because when you play Blood Bowl, your instinct is to play how the enemy team is playing. You know, so if the enemy team's getting stuck in, you get drawn in, and you start getting stuck in too, and it's just kind of, you know, a block fest, and it's a lot of smacking about and everything. You know, if you're playing against a Lizardman team as humans, and you go in for like a slugfest, well, stuff like that's gonna happen. So yeah, you know, like that's just my advice and my thoughts. Someone, as I said before, someone wanted me to make another human tip tutorial video, and I was willing to do it because I didn't feel like I really went in detail for the human video the last time. Pretty much because, you know, I never play humans, and I hadn't done in Blood Bowl 2 or for a long time in Blood Bowl at all. So, you know, the video I did was very much like, humans are pretty much just, you know, they're pretty much just that, really. There's not much to say about them, which is, you know, it is partially true. So you can see, like, for my thrower who leveled up, we got him strong arm, which means when you do short, long bomb passes, then you add +1 to your pass, which is, you know, really useful. We got tackle, block, tackle, guard on our blitzers. Catchers got sidestep. Obviously, sidestep's a decent choice. Then you got strength and got strip ball, block. Also strip ball, obviously another good one. I've spoken about skills in my skill video. I feel like you guys can go and check those out. So yeah, there you go, guys. You know, it's partially one of the reasons I've done this video is because I know I haven't done many Blood Bowl videos, and I can almost feel those of you who found me through Blood Bowl wanting me to do a Blood Bowl video. I just, you know, I feel bad, but it's difficult to do when they're all kind of the same, if you get what I mean. Like, it's fun doing the skitters to a certain extent, but when you're playing a bash team every single time, it just gets old, you know. Like, there's no variety when you're always facing chaos, dwarves, orcs, lizardmen, and you're always getting your head kicked in. You know, there's no variety. It all kind of feels the same. So when I get into a match, even if I go in with the kind of attitude of like, oh, I'm looking forward to some Blood Bowl, within about 5 minutes, I've lined up against another Chaos team, and I'm just like, well, here we go again. So anyway, we'll see about more Blood Bowl videos. No promises, guys. I do want to do more, but at the same time, it's hard to work up the enthusiasm to do it entertainingly. So, you know, it's kind of a we'll see. I've got so many other videos I need to be doing, and you may see, like, I'm back to 3 videos a day, 1 in the afternoon, 2 in the evening, you know, so, yeah, the best I can say is we'll see. At the very least, I'll try to stream some Blood Bowl, maybe, you know, put it up on YouTube. I'll try and decide what's best, really, at this point. So yeah, we'll see about Blood Bowl, guys. We might have more. Let's say we will have more Blood Bowl. I don't know in what format it's going to be. I'm trying to figure it out at the moment. So bear with me. Have patience. You know, watch my other videos if they take your fancy. If they don't, well then, you know, fair play. You're just here for the Blood Bowl. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, of course, if you want to. Always helps me out a lot. And I'll see you guys in the next one.